Good morning, and thank you so much to everybody who's come out today to join us. I want to start out by acknowledging the land that we are on and gathered on today here in the traditional territories of the Mississauga of the Credit First Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederation, and the Huron-Wendat First Nations. I'm Sarah Singh, your Ontario NDP Deputy Leader and MPP for Brampton Centre. I'm joined here, thank you. I'm joined here by some of my fantastic colleagues, and I want to start off by acknowledging Guratin Singh, our NDP MPP from Brampton East, Andrea Barrett, our candidate in Brampton South. Yes, and we're also in the office of Wasim Ahmed, who will be running here in Mississauga Malton. We also have Julia Coley joining us from Mississauga Lakeshore, Navjeet Kaur from Brampton West, Nicholas Rabba from Mississauga Streetsville, and we also have Sarah Walji from Mississauga Centre and Sandeep Singh from Brampton North. We have a fantastic team, and we have been hitting the doors, connecting with folks across the region of Peel, and we are feeling energized, and the doors are so warm and so positive. People in this region want a premier who's in it for them, someone they can trust to fix what's broken here in Ontario. Andrea is the leader who is strong enough to do it and ready to do the job. People know that Andrea listens and she cares, and they see how determined she is to fix what's broken here in Ontario. Andrea's priorities are my priorities. They're all of our priorities, and I'm so proud to stand with her. And I want to introduce you to the next Premier of Ontario, Andrea Horwath.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah. It's so great to be here in Mississauga Malton with all of these fantastic candidates and supporters. Happy Writ Day, everybody. This campaign, this election there's a lot at stake. There's just no doubt about it. There are people in this province who need hope, and we're here to say you can have hope. You can have hope that a government can be elected that fixes the things that are most important to you. Healthcare, which is in big trouble right now, housing, seniors care, making sure that people can afford to live in this province. Those are the things people are telling us that they're most worried about. But let's face it, Doug Ford's Conservatives had made things even worse. We know that as a government, we can do the things that matter most to people, fix the things that matter most to people. Things have gotten a lot tougher for folks over the last 4 years. We've seen our healthcare system falling apart at the seams. We've seen long-term care and seniors care basically reduce the quality of life that our seniors are living these days. We see everyday life getting harder. People aren't even able to afford everyday life. It's getting tougher and tougher for Ontarians. But we know that more cuts from a Conservative government are going to make things even worse. It's going to cost people even more. So the first job, the most important thing that we can do in this election is make sure Doug Ford does not get a second term so that Conservatives can make even more cuts that hurt people. What we are saying to folks is the NDP in this campaign is the best party to get that done. We are the only ones. We're the only ones that can defeat Doug Ford. We're your best shot if you want to get rid of the Ford government. We have 100 seats that we came in first or second in the last campaign. And so we know with this strong group of candidates, as well as our 40 seats that we gained last time around as official opposition, we're absolutely the ones that can defeat Doug Ford. And why is that important? Because the NDP has a plan to fix the things that matter most to you. We know that universal mental health care that you don't have to wait for or pay for will make a big difference in people's lives. Hiring thousands of healthcare workers to shore up our hospitals and other parts of our healthcare system, that's part of our plan. To fix the problems that people are facing when it comes to access to things like prescription drugs and dental care. We know that people can't afford to keep the roof over their heads, or at least they're very worried that they're going to be able to do that. And the cost of housing everywhere is skyrocketed, whether it's renting or whether it's purchasing a home. These things are things that matter to people. Our long-term care system, our home care system, we need to get the profits out and the care back in, and that is part of our plan in this election. And once we form government, you can be guaranteed that those are the things that we're going to take care of, the things that matter most to people. So in this election campaign, if we come together, we can replace a premier who prioritizes his buddies, who works for his buddies, with a premier who works for you. So again, I want to thank Sarah for the introduction and Wasim for allowing us to be here in his campaign headquarters, and we'll take any questions that folks might have.
We'll ask journalists on site if you do have a question and are able, please move to the mic and line up. It'll be one question, one follow-up. First question comes from Charlie Pinkerton from Queen's Park Briefing.
Hello, bear with me, there's a bit of a preamble here. So, Andrea, yesterday I asked you about bringing the topic of abortion into the discourse in Ontario, since earlier in the day you were the first leader to release a statement about the situation in the U.S. You responded by speaking about your own lived experience as a woman and as a leader, and did not attack any other party. On the other hand, the official statement sent out by the Liberals came from Amanda Simard. She very directly went after PC MPP Sam Oosterhoff, and by proxy, the PC party. This topic in Canada has a history of being weaponized by politicians, particularly against Conservatives, and even when Conservative leaders have themselves rejected any possibility of restricting women's right or access to an abortion. Doug Ford has said himself that reopening abortion in the legislature is off the table for his party. Will you commit to not using it as a wedge issue, unlike how the Liberals have already done?
When I think about the struggles that women have faced for decades now, when I think about the fact that in university I was fighting for women's rights, fighting to make sure that women had the complete say over their own health and over their own bodies, it's exhausting to think that yet again we're having to fight those same battles. And I don't really care where the threat comes from, whether it's coming from political parties here in Canada, or whether it's coming from movements in other parts of the world, including the United States. At the end of the day, I'm going to continue to fight for women. I'm going to continue to stand up for women, and I'm going to continue to let women know that I will never, ever stop fighting those battles shoulder to shoulder with them, on the shoulders of women that came before me that were fighting those battles, and showing a pathway forward for young women that sadly, yet again, we're going to have to keep fighting those same battles. That's my focus. It's women, their rights, and not having those rights clawed back.
So once again, you didn't mention any other party, that's sort of kind of the point of my question. I guess I want to know if I can stop asking this question, because your position is very clear. I just, if you're not going to go after any other parties, then that's great. You've made your position clear. So is that it?
Yeah, I mean, really, Charlie, I think that that people who pay attention to politics and political parties see very well where the various parties stand. I know clearly where the NDP stands and has stood for our entire existence. I know that other parties may have flip-flopped on this issue in the past, but certainly for me, we are solid in our position, and I'll leave it up to the other parties to determine where they stand at any moment in time.
Next question comes from Holly Mackenzie-Suter from the Canadian Press.
Hi, Holly.
Hi, Andrea. I want to get your reaction to the announcement from the Liberals this morning. Do you think that if they form government, they can or will clear the school repair backlog with $10 million?
Well, no matter what the Liberals say now, they had 15 years to address our crumbling schools, and they didn't. They left this province with $15.9 billion of school repair backlogs. So I don't know how anybody can trust what they say now when for 15 years they didn't prioritize the state of the quality of repair of our kids' schools.
I'm wondering if you're also planning on $10 billion in savings from canceling the 413. If that's going to be part of your costing, if you could also say when we're going to see that.
Well, the numbers are being crunched as we speak. I'm looking forward to being able to share them. The 413 is the wrong project. The 413 is a highway that paves over wetlands, that is going to be bad for the environment, and is really, its purpose is to help Doug Ford's developer buddies, and everybody knows it. It's a project that should not be going forward. So no, we will not go forward with 113, rather 413, nor will we go forward with a Bradford bypass, because I don't think that buddies are the reasons these kinds of decisions should be made. If we're talking about the safety of highways, we know that there are a number of highways in the province that could use some help. Putting all of the capital into these particular projects to help Doug Ford's buddies, people need to have their highways made safer. People need to have a sense that a government is focused on their needs, not the needs of a premier's developer buddies.
We'll move to questions on Zoom. First question comes from Ahmed Al-Bayoumi from Paula Corner.
Hi, Ahmed.
Hi, Andrea. How are you?
Good, thanks. And you?
Good, good. I want to start off by asking you, why did you choose Mississauga to be your first campaign stop with the official launch of this election campaign?
Well, thanks for the question. Just have a look at these fantastic candidates, and I think that's the answer. For far too long, the people of Peel Region have watched as Conservatives and Liberals get elected. In the next election, Liberals and Conservatives, it goes back and forth. And yet the people here are seeing life get harder and harder, regardless of whether the Liberals or the Conservatives are in office. And we're here to say to the people of Mississauga and of Peel Region that it doesn't have to be that way, that you can actually have a government that prioritizes the things that matter most to you and actually helps life get easier and not harder. That's the message that we're showing, that we're giving to people throughout this campaign, and showing that you can have a premier that prioritizes you, that works for you every day, not working for their buddies, not working for their political insiders, but working for you.
The Liberals are framing this as a choice, this election as a choice between them and the Conservatives. And you're also framing this as a choice between the NDP and the Conservatives. You said at the start that the NDP is the best bet for voters to defeat Doug Ford. Polls are now showing that there's a split amongst the progressive vote, if I may, between the Liberals and the NDP. What your caucus was, 40 members or so, is now split according to polls. Is this messaging hurting you and your party?
Not at all. In fact, we're very confident that the great MPPs that served in this last legislature as the official opposition will be re-elected. What we're saying to folks, though, is in that last campaign, the NDP came first or second in 100 seats. There are only 124 seats in the legislature. So it's very clear that the best shot to get rid of Doug Ford this time is to vote NDP. And so we're asking people to come together to do exactly that. And I think that that folks will not only realize that that is the best path forward to defeat Doug Ford, but it's also the path forward to get you a premier that goes into Queen's Park each and every day, rolls up her sleeves, and gets to work on the priorities that matter most to you.
Next question comes from Adam Burns. Adam from the Canadian Press. Please go ahead.
Morning, Adam.
Yeah, hi there. Thank you for taking my question, Ms. Horwath. I was just a couple of sort of budget specifics I'm looking for. Do you know how much you're planning to spend on the school repair backlog?
We're planning to get rid of that school repair backlog and to make sure that our kids are not stuck in classrooms in the wintertime wearing mitts and coats. Just yesterday, when I was in Don Valley East, one of the young women that came to welcome us to a beautiful cafe there literally told me the story that she sits in her classrooms and has sat in her classrooms as a young person with mittens on and coats on in the wintertime. None of our children should be experiencing that, but 15 years of Liberals, that's what we ended up with. And of course, Doug Ford and the Conservatives brought another $1 billion of repairs backlogged here in Ontario. So now it's at $16.9 billion. Neither of these two parties who have broken Our schools have broken the repair necessities requirements of our schools, are going to fix the things that they broke. People just can't trust. Why would they fix them now when they're the ones that broke them? And so, yes, we are absolutely committed to all of that. And I just want to say, because I know this question was asked already, we will absolutely be putting our full costing of everything, of school repairs and everything together. You'll have it shortly, and I'm looking forward to that opportunity to share those numbers.
Thank you. I don't think I heard a specific number in there. And it might sort of be the same answer to this question, but do you know how much you're expecting to save from canceling the 2 highway projects that you mentioned earlier, the bypass and the 413?
There's billions and billions and billions of dollars that the government has kind of taken from all of the other infrastructure, road infrastructure projects, and focused them in on these 2 projects to help Doug Ford's developer buddies. That is not a responsible way to govern, and that is not an appropriate way to make decisions. So we are going to make sure, yes, we are going to spend money on infrastructure when we're the government. Of course we will. Every government spends money on infrastructure. It's required. It's necessary. But what I can tell you for certain is that I won't be making those decisions based on who owns a golf course or who owns land and property that might help out with my election campaign war chest. That's not the kind of thing that I will be doing, because I don't believe that that's the way a province should be governed.
Seeing no further questions, I'll turn it back to you, Andrea.
Thanks very much, Michelle. I do want to just restate the fact that this campaign is an important one. There's a lot at stake in this election, and I want to let people know that they absolutely can have a government that puts their priorities first, that fixes the things that matter most to them, and helps life get more affordable for them, and get our services to places where people need them. We need to have a healthcare system you can rely on. Our kids deserve great public education. Our seniors, our elders deserve a better quality of life as they age, not taking that quality of life away. And this time, the best way to make sure those things are addressed is to get rid of Doug Ford and the Conservatives, whose cuts will only make things worse, and vote for the party that has the best shot of doing that and making sure that your priorities are met. So I'll be there for the next number of weeks, having those conversations with people around the province, and looking forward to having an opportunity to fix the things that matter most. Thanks, everybody.